Olá amigos do Agro Connection, chegamos finalmente aqui pertinho de Kansas City, na cidade de Bucyrus, no Kansas, para conversar com o Hayden, que é produtor aqui na região. Sempre lembrando que essa é uma parceria do Agro Connection com a RTC, o nosso Crop Tour 2021. Estamos na estrada, né, Alexandre?
Exatamente. E nesse bate-papo com o Hayden, nós vamos perguntar para ele quais são as rotações de culturas que ele utiliza, sistemas de cultivo, quais estratégias ele usa para adquirir os melhores rendimentos e também como que ele comercializa a safra tanto de milho e de soja aqui no Kansas.
Tem muita informação bacana, tá curioso, né? Então não perca e stay tuned no Crop Tour 2021 na estrada com Agro Connection e RTC. Olá amigos do Agro Connection, nós estamos aqui pertinho de Kansas City, na fazenda dos irmãos Gattermans, para iniciar o nosso segundo episódio do Crop Tour 2021, parceria do Agro Connection com a RTC. So Hayden, thank you very much for having us here at your farm. We know that's something that's not easy to get or easy to show to Brazilians. So thank you very much, and I'll ask you if you can talk a little bit about your farm, so the name of your farm, and if you have brothers here that work with you, and how many generations you guys have here at this farm.
Yeah, so welcome to Gatterman Brothers Family Farms here in Bucyrus, Kansas. We're just south of Kansas City, about 30 minutes on the Kansas side. I farm here. I've been home on the farm since I graduated from Kansas State University.
Go Cats!
In 2017. I went there and majored in agronomy, came back home to the family farm here, and I've been here for 4 years now, which is crazy already. So I farm here along with my grandparents, my dad, my 3 uncles, and my brothers and their families. I have 3 brothers, all with maybe some sort of intention to come back home to the farm, as well as some other cousins. There's a lot of people involved in our family farming operation. We got 3 generations, and on a typical day in the field, there's probably maybe 15 of us or more working side by side. So it's quite unique. And I'm very, very fortunate.
A gente sabe que vocês, além de verem as fazendas aqui nos Estados Unidos, vocês querem ver o campo, mas antes de nós ir lá para o campo, mostrar para vocês qual que é a condição das culturas, eu vou fazer mais uma pergunta para o Hayden, que é sobre as expectativas dele em relação à safra desse ano para os Estados Unidos. So Hayden, before we go to the field and actually see the soybeans there, so what's your expectation for the 2021 growing season, both for corn and soybean?
Well, I hope we have a great, respectable crop that is bountiful, and we always achieve every year for great yields. So we rely heavily here on Mother Nature and rainfall. We have no irrigation to speak of, so we rely heavily on timely rains, which in the last several years have been working out.
Hayden, I can see here in your farm you have storage for your crops. I would like to know how much of your production you can actually store here and how you send to an elevator nearby. Does that go by train, by truck? If you can tell us a little bit how that works.
My grandpa and his 3 brothers constructed the elevator here you see in the background in the mid-1970s. And since then, as we've evolved over time, we've grown, and we've also had to expand our elevator, tear down old bins, and construct new ones and larger ones. So right now, today, as it currently sits, we have over 750,000 bushel of grain storage here on our farm, which probably accounts for maybe 60 to 70% of our total of our capacity for the acreage that we farm. What is nice being close to Kansas City, we are close to grain markets, and so being only 30 minutes from Kansas City, we haul all of our grain into the city. There's a lot of markets there that we can take our grain to. We also have a ethanol plant about 30 to 40 minutes south of here in Garnett, which is also a great market for a lot of the farmers around here in the area. Also down the road about 15 minutes over in Gardner, Kansas, there is a rail intermodal facility there, and there is a elevator there that loads up shipping containers of soybeans to ship over to Asia. And that has been another great market for our area for soybeans, where they provide strong prices during harvest.
Thank you very much, Hayden. That's an amazing information. E agora, antes de nós ir para a lavoura, que a gente sabe que vocês querem ver a lavoura, fique com algumas imagens do Getterman Brothers Family Farms. Bom, amigos do Agro Connection, agora a gente está aqui no campo com o Hayden, saiu lá do main shop, como a gente chama aqui nos Estados Unidos, e veio aqui para o campo fazer algumas perguntas mais técnicas. Eu acho que a primeira pergunta que a gente pode fazer, Hayden, para ti, é como que é o tipo de solo aqui na tua região e também quais as culturas que vocês plantam. So Hayden, I think the first question we can do for you is what is the soil type in this region? Is this more clay, more sandy? And also, what's the cropping system of your farm?
Well, here in east central Kansas, we have a lot of silty clay, loam soils with a lot of more clay in them than silt and sand. Not much sand at all around this area. So very heavy soils with probably around anywhere from 15 to 20 CEC value. Here we are on a corn, soybean, and a soft red winter wheat rotation.
Okay.
So mixed in with that is also a no-till cover crop residue management system.
So Hayden, how long have you been using no-till and cover crops here in your farm?
My grandpa first started no-till in the early 1980s. He did that because we were experiencing a lot of soil erosion with the heavy rain events that we do get in our area. Our fields were just getting complete eroded away, ditches starting to form, losing topsoil in the road ditch, all due to the fact of we were plowing, ripping, disking our soil, and we also started to build terraces and waterways to help slow that down, plus the no-till system.
And have you been noticing some change in terms of soil quality, soil health, increasing organic matter since you started with no-till?
Yes, I would say very slowly. We have noticed a maintained level of our organic matter, also probably somewhat better water infiltration and soil quality, but I don't think it really started to take off until we added cover crops in our cropping system in around 2010. I felt like with the addition of cover crops, it has drastically improved those qualities in our soil quite faster than just a no-till system.
So Hayden, how is your season so far in terms of rainfall, temperature, and if you had to replant any of your fields, if you could explain to us how it was?
Yeah, here in east central Kansas, it's been quite different than most places across the Corn Belt. Here we've experienced a pretty wet spring. It was a wet and cool April and May. We did get a window of opportunity to plant most of our corn and some soybeans at the first week of May. And then after that window of the first week of May and the rest of May, it turned off cool and wet again with very little sunshine, and we got poor stands, especially of corn. And at the first week of June, we came back and we replanted every acre of corn that we planted there in the first week of May, completely started over. And so far, this month of June, it's been dry. It went from one extreme to the other. It went hot and dry, and we just got a nice rain here as we're speaking today. The night before, a 2.5-inch rain, which was just perfect, and couldn't ask for a better timing of that. So things are looking good here now. As long as it continues to rain throughout the growing season, we get the timely rains, we're looking very good.
So Hayden, one thing we know that the Brazilian farmers and the agronomists that are curious is how you decide about how much of your area is going to soybean or is going to corn.
Well, we typically look at it just as an efficiency standpoint and how many bushels we can hold in our grain elevator system. But typically we like to keep it at a 50% corn soybean rotation across our acres. And when we are able to have some wheat, we like to keep that maybe at 20 or 30% for a time's sake in the summertime, and what the summer allows us to do.
So regarding your production system here, can you tell us how your productivity has been in the previous years, and I mean how many bushels of soybean you usually, on average of course, of corn and soybean, and also how do you get seeds? I mean, who provides that, how you go after, if you can touch base a little bit on those topics.
And also, just to add to this question, is it expensive for American farmers to buy seeds?
The last several years here in our area has been quite productive. Our last drought we did see, a severe drought, was in 2012, where crop yields were almost failed. But since then, we've had very good yields of anywhere from 120 bushel up to 180, 200 bushel corn averages, and anywhere from 30 to 70 bushel soybeans. So we've had some very good years here the last several years. Wheat yields, we typically see a lot of wheat yields in the 60 to 90 bushel range in soft winter wheat. Our family farm, we typically buy our corn seed and soybean seed from Pioneer and Channel. They're the biggest, a couple of the biggest seed companies here in the United States, and we feel like they have good products that are placed in our area to perform at high yields for what our soil can produce.
Okay, so we know Hayden is super busy, so we don't want to take too much of his time. And the last question, so we can finish this conversation here, is what's the row spacing you have been using here, both for corn and soybean?
We're pretty traditional here for our area. We're 30-inch corn, and we plant a lot of 15-inch and 7.5-inch soybeans. This field here was planted with a 60-foot wide planter that is called a split row, and you could plant corn with it on 24 row, 30-inch spacing. And when it comes time to plant beans, you can let the rows down and plant 47 row, 15-inch. We also, to plant our 7.5-inch space beans, we use our no-till air drills. We have two of those, a 36-foot and a 50-foot.
what's the population of corn and beans, just to finish that?
Typical population for corn in our area is anywhere from 24,000 all the way up to 30,000 plants per acre, and typical soybean seeding rates are early on in the season I like to plant 130,000 seeds per acre, and as the season goes into later in the season, we typically plant, push that population up to 150, 160, 170,000 plants per acre. I want to keep trying to plant soybeans earlier in the growing season, and I'd really like to push that population down to about maybe 100,000 someday, if the growing conditions are right.
Well,
Great.
thank you very much, Hayden, for this opportunity. So, hope
Thank you,
Brazilian
Hayden.
farmers
Yeah.
like that.
Então é isso, amigas e amigos do Agro Connection. Encerramos aqui a segunda etapa do nosso Crop Tour na estrada com Agro Connection e RTC. Qual que é a nossa próxima parada, Carlos?
Nossa próxima parada é no Missouri. Lá nós vamos ver soja e milho também e ver se choveu mais ou menos que aqui, né?
É verdade. Então não percam. Stay tuned!